Then watch me get it right.
In the heart of the USS Independence's bustling flight deck, under the relentless glare of the Gulf sun, Admiral Harlan coldly stripped Lieutenant Emily Carter of her command in front of a crowd of officers. He handed her a bucket and sponge, declaring her unfit to oversee aircraft launches anymore. Snickers rippled through the ranks as she walked away, her flight suit clinging with sweat, but she held her head high, refusing to let them see her break. Just a few hours later, when the electronic signaling system crashed during a critical drill, every eye turned to her in desperation. Emily stepped up, her hands cutting through the wind with precise signals, and the F-16 rocketed off the deck flawlessly. The ship fell silent, and the Admiral watched, unblinking, as if witnessing something he could no longer deny. Emily's footsteps echoed steadily on the steel grating as she moved away from the jeering group, the sponge handle feeling foreign in her grip. The younger officer's laughter stung like salt in a wound, but she didn't glance back. Her chin stayed firm, gaze locked forward. Decades earlier, her father, a tough man who'd built a fishing fleet from one leaky trawler in the stormy waters off Maine, had drilled into her the value of unyielding resolve. She could picture him on those foggy docks, his calloused hands on her shoulders, his gravelly voice firm. "You don't fold, Emily. Not for storms, not for anyone." That wisdom armored her now. Her hands, scarred from years of directing jets through howling gales and pitch-black nights, set the bucket down with a quiet thud against a bulkhead. She edged toward the deck's railing, where the Gulf of Mexico sprawled vast and unforgiving, waves shimmering like distant hopes. She lingered there, her auburn hair pulled into a tight bun, letting the breeze dry the perspiration on her skin. This wasn't her first storm. It wouldn't be the last. The evening briefing in the operations room simmered with tension, the air heavy with stale coffee and anxious murmurs. Emily lingered in the rear, notepad under her arm, jotting details as Admiral Harlan barked directives about the joint exercise with allies. The other officers, in their starched uniforms, navigated the space with effortless belonging. Commander Vance, a lean man with a perpetual sneer and a flashy wristwatch, spotted her. "Lieutenant Carter, isn't it?" His words sliced through the chatter, drawing stares. "The one they yanked from the deck? Better at scrubbing than signaling these days, I suppose." A few chuckles erupted, eyes flicking her way. A fresh-faced ensign, straight out of Annapolis, whispered to his pal, "She's the one who flubbed that takeoff last year, right?" Emily's pencil hovered, ink bleeding faintly on the paper. She didn't lift her eyes, didn't explain it was a glitchy radar, not her error. She just resumed writing, hands steady, expression neutral. The room shifted back to business, but the barbs lingered like haze. Come morning, during a standard gear check, a jittery junior officer named Ensign Riley stumbled over a loose wire by Emily's post. He steadied himself on a crate, cheeks flushing, then glared at her. "Watch your spot, Carter. You shouldn't even be up here." Nearby crew members snickered, one imitating her posture with a mock slouch. Emily shifted her notepad, fingers grazing a worn corner. "Fair point," she replied evenly, "but that wire's frayed." "Fix it." Riley froze, mouth agape, then knelt to check. It was indeed compromised, risking a delay in ops. He grumbled and shuffled off, the crew's amusement fading as they eyed her briefly before dispersing. The navigation array faltered hours later, just as they readied an F-35 for rollout. Screens blared with alerts, crimson lights pulsing urgently. Technicians scrambled, voices rising in alarm, manuals flying open. Emily observed from the sidelines, her demoted role sidelining her, but she spotted a subtle 7-digit fault code on a backup display. She advanced calmly. "It's a glitch in the backup guidance net." The head tech, a burly guy with a crew cut and a grease streak on his shirt, whirled around, skepticism etched on his face. "How do you figure?" She nodded at the screen. "Verify the net." He did, and the system rebooted. The jet's turbines thundered to life, vibrating the deck. Captain Ramirez stared at her, brows knit. "Where'd you learn that code?" Emily shrugged, pocketing her hands. "Seen it in action before." She retreated, boots scraping, but Ramirez's gaze tracked her like a revelation. In a lull back in ops, Petty Officer Gomez, a solid-built man who chewed gum incessantly, sidled up to Emily as she scanned a roster. He leaned close, breath minty. "Hey, Carter. Heard you ruled this deck once. What went wrong?" "Couldn't cut it." His tone drew smirks from nearby staff. Emily's grip tightened on her marker, but her demeanor held. She turned a page, eyes on the data. "I'm still aboard, Gomez. And you're still chomping during huddles." The smirks evaporated. Gomez's jaw halted. He backed off, mumbling about gear checks. Mess hall lunch proved another gauntlet. Emily sat solo at a fringe table, tray sparse with a turkey sandwich and black coffee. The space hummed with clatter and banter. Major Harlan, a towering figure with a slick comb-over and a commanding boom, sauntered by and dropped a dog-eared Navy journal on her tray, pages open to an article on elite deck commanders. "Top tier once, eh? Now you're on cleanup crew." His cronies guffawed, one sputtering his drink. Lieutenant Vaughn, with her saccharine grin and manicured nails, chimed in. They still dub her Shattered Wing Carter. The jab hit hard. Emily's fingers clenched her mug, steam scalding her palm. She rose, collected her tray, and exited deliberately. The chuckles trailed her into the passageway, but her father's echo urged her onward. Keep marching, no matter. Late afternoon diagnostics on the launch gear saw senior technician Odinella, weathered vet with a hitch in his step from an ancient mishap, let a tool clatter at her feet. He didn't stoop, instead eyeing her narrowly. "Gonna fetch that, Carter? Or is it too lowly now?" The crew paused, tools idle, awaiting her move. Emily knelt smoothly, retrieved the wrench, and extended it. "Not lowly at all," she said quietly. "But you meant to drop it." O'Donnell's face colored, but he accepted it wordlessly. Work resumed, the atmosphere thicker, as if they'd glimpsed an unspoken truth. The defense secretary's arrival was abrupt, his chopper thumping down amid frantic preparations. Admiral Harlan guided the tour, voice smooth as he highlighted upgraded targeting arrays and streamlined protocols. Emily hovered in the background, notepad ready, her vest rumpled from the grind. The secretary, a silver-haired man whose tone pierced the Gulf breeze, halted abruptly. "Is Lieutenant Carter still serving here?" The query hung heavy, deck hushed save for the ship's creak. Harlan's jaw clenched, but he affirmed. "Yes, sir." Emily was summoned, boots resounding. The secretary met her gaze warmly. "Your take on the manual override protocols?" She responded without pause. With aligned cues, "I can direct launches by hand if systems fail." He nodded approvingly. Harlan stayed mute, but his stare bored into her as she blended back. Post-visit, officers clustered by the hangar, murmurs sharp. Lieutenant Vaughn, grin absent, whispered to ensigns. She got spotlighted cause the secretary knew her name, probably family ties. The group nodded, glancing as Emily passed with log stacks. She paused briefly, papers crinkling. "My dad's past a decade. I earned this." No retort waited. She proceeded. The ensign's averted eyes flushed, and Vaughn's nails drummed her cup uneasily. That night, Admiral Harlan summoned Emily to his quarters, cluttered with maps and reeking of old brew. He didn't glance up from his paperwork. "You're off tech support. Shift to storage audits below decks." Emily stood rigid, hands clasped. "Aye, sir." She accepted and departed, footsteps fading in the corridor. Below, the storage bay reeked of lubricant and steel. She inventoried munitions crates, marker-scratching figures. A forklift operator with a lopsided smile and a faded tattoo eyed her. Famed handler now tallying boxes, he chuckled to a mate. A green recruit murmured. "They say she orchestrated a mid-flight salvage once. Now she's..." His words trailed as Emily's gaze lifted momentarily. She said nothing, just continued tallying precisely. One dim evening in storage, a gangly deckhand named Jenkins hurled a wadded form at her feet. "Missed a mess, Carter," he grinned, pointing like it was her litter. Laughter bounced off walls. Emily stooped, unfolded Ida overdue supply REQ Jenkins owned. She flattened it, returned it, needed for tomorrow's drop. Her stare held steady. Jenkins' smirk vanished. He grabbed it, muttering off. The crew quieted, busying hands, dodging her look. The bay was worlds from the deck, yet the vessel's rhythm reached her. One night, She touched a pocketed photo, a yellowed snap of her father on a Maine pier, arm around her teen self, grins under overcast skies. Memory sufficed. Him schooling her in knots, wind reeds, steadfastness. Hands once tender, now toughened by trials. She shut her eyes briefly, then resumed notations, figures hazy in the glow. Days on, a hands-only signaling exercise unfolded, electronics offline. The squad bungled motions, unsensed. A pilot idled in the cockpit, F-16 humming impatiently. Captain Ramirez swore softly, frustrated. A bespectacled newbie ensign piped up. Carter was ace at signals. Silence blanketed, eyes on Harlan. He nodded curtly. Fetch her. Pulled from below, grease-streaked, Emily emerged into the wind. Wordlessly, she signaled crisply. The jet taxied seamlessly. Crew parted instinctively, air charged by her command. During a drill pause, pilots lounged by the line, helmets tucked, bravado thick. Lieutenant Kane, scarred brow and cocky air, spied Emily tweaking a flag. Hey, Carter. Wasting effort up here. Stick to storage. Laughter ensued, backslaps. Emily's hands paused on the fabric. You taxied on my cue yesterday, Kane. Landed spotless. His chuckle choked. Group hushed, helmets burdensome. She secured the flag and strode off, words lingering in the breeze. The pivotal F-16 rollout hit a week later, no tech test amid the exercise. Deck buzzed with strain, Gulf winds fierce. Emily poised at the brink, vest flapping. Admiral Harlan neared, boots thudding, eyes slits. One slip, and it all blows. You solid. Her gaze met his, unflinching. I'm set. But are you? He blinked, retreated shadowed. Emily pivoted, arm arcing flawlessly. The jet surged, lifting clean, exhaust trailing. Cheers exploded, wave-like. Harlan doffed his cap, nodding grudgingly, mouth align. Post-launch, amid acclaim, Commander Ellis scowling, perennial shortcut taker muttered to Tex. Pure fluke. Anyone could flail like that. Words aimed at her. Emily, wiping grime, tensed but turned. Flukes don't launch jets, Ellis. Skill does. She discarded the cloth deliberately, departing. Tex glanced uneasily. Ellis scowled deeper, silent. Media swarm descended post-exercise, flashes and probes relentless. Emily stood composed among ranks, hands still dingy. A sharp-eyed American reporter honed in. You were backup, right? Sans failure, you'd scrub deck still. Others leaned, eager. Emily, unfazed, drew a creased FBI memo from her pocket. I led Operation Gulf, Sentinel records locked, 3 years. Pens halted, deck stilled, engines droning soul sound. Camera dipped, jaw slack. She refolded, pocketed slowly. In interviews, a polished network correspondent cornered her by the bay. Inspiring tale, Lieutenant, but bitterness must linger demoted while others claim glory. Trap set, mics poised. Emily fingered her vest. Duty's my focus. Outcomes over acclaim. She turned, boots grinding, leaving him fumbling. Journos scribbled, his poise cracked. Morning ceremony dawned bright, deck polished. Emily in dress whites, frame unyielding. Admiral Harlan advanced, metal gleaming. He affixed it, voice projecting. Lieutenant Commander Carter. Rank rippled shockwaves. Jeerers from before saluted crisply, faces awed. An F-22 streaked above, mirroring her signals. Doubt evaporated. As it wrapped, a wiry young pilot, Ensign Harper, tugged his cuff nervously. Ma'am, I piloted that F-22 on your cue. Flawless. Thanks. Eyes earnest. Emily nodded, faint curve to lips. You handled it sharp, Harper. Stay vigilant. She faced the deck, hand grazing metal. Harper straightened, habit forgotten. Officers watched, salutes enduring, respect palpable. Reckonings followed subtly. Major Harlan vanished weeks later, desk-bound stateside. Ascent halted for his recklessness. Whispers raced, too brazen, now reaping. The whispering ensign earned a rebuke, promo delayed, name scarce in chow talk. Lieutenant Vaughn's feeds flooded with her snide quips exposed by a fed-up crewman. Her endorsement deal poofed, profile erased. The mocking forklift op transferred to a tug, forgotten. Emily untouched, unspeaking. Truth weighed heavy, settling swift. Eve of docking, Emily reviewed protocols and ops. Lieutenant Carver, boots gleaming and smug, hovered. Ease up, Carter. That's for pros. Room smirked. She shut the binder, faced him. I got your bird airborne last week. No charge. Silence fell, smirks gone. Carver retreated awkwardly. Air waited anew. Emily paced the deck pre-port, gulf endless, sun dipping. The recruit who'd murmured her feats neared, cap rung. Ma'am, I didn't grasp your record. All of it. Her eyes kind, paternal echo. Knowledge isn't always key. Just execute right. She eyed the sea, photos touch grounding. Wind tousled her, ship thrummed steady. Final eve, deckhands clustered bowward, sunset gilded. Quiet Ellis lifted a ledger. Carter cleared every crate. 0 slips. Nods, eyes on book. Emily nearby, tallying last. Pen moving but lips twitched faintly. Ellis stowed it proudly. Crew scattered softer, esteem evident. USS Independence berthed at twilight, sky aflame, scents of brine and diesel thick. Emily disembarked, bag shouldered, stride sure. Officers parted, salutes mute, gazes trailing. She didn't turn. At pier's end, her husband Michael waited, tall silhouette. Wordless nod, hands brushing as they headed carward, fingers linking briefly. Officers lingered, hushed, sun-kissed. Life seldom offers grand stages for proof. Often, it's a sponge, a ledger, skeptics aplenty. Emily bore it gracefully. For those diminished, misjudged, sidelined, you persisted rightly, not solitary.